It's loading. And welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday. People like to welcome you all to the show. Look, we're going to take this all the way back as far as we can to the beginning, right? And of course, myself, OG Alex, and Miss Rock, right? We right here representing the knowledge, wisdom, and we're putting up information to where you, the listeners, you, the people, can discern for yourself. All we're doing is presenting the information and using people, and we're using print to describe the topics, right? And some of what we're putting up here, you all can read along as well. But the foundation and the basis of this is to really highlight the power and the importance of the word. And the word is the truth. But the word is not captured by one denomination or religion. The word has always been the word. And then when you make that word flesh and you make that word your bond, then now you are the word then, because you are a living inhabitant of that word, right? Now, we all know who this is, right? And that's brother, for those who don't know, brother Khalid Muhammad. This particular picture comes from a speech he did. Okay, here we go. Pan African Moore. What's up, God? Peace, God.
Yo,
Okay.
peace,
This
God.
particular picture comes from a lecture he did about the widow's son. I believe it was called "Who Will Cry for the Widow's Sons" or "For the Widow's Son." But it came from but the general topic was the widow's son, right? Now y'all check this out. Now, this is the beginning. This comes from it as well, showing you of the Shriner who was in the building, and you see how his crescent moon is upside down, and you see how the sword is on top of it, because when we gave them the knowledge, he took an oath that if he would share that knowledge, that sword will chop off his head. So he's bearing witness at this function. So so all of this plays a part into the movie that we're discussing, um, which is Kingdom of Heaven, right? We're getting ready to get into it. Now, these are Knights Templars. The Shriners are another version of the Knights Templars. Am I right, Pan African War? Shriners and Knights Templars, Masons, all part of the
Yeah,
code order. Okay. And
yeah,
so now he's representing what we call today, this guy. He's was the ruler of France, but he's representing the 1%ers, right? The 1%, the oligarchs, the ones who rule, who uh, basically who's ruling, who the corporation of the United States uh, falls under. I mean, the president is just the CEO of the corporation, right? Which is Trump, right? Now, the reason why I call him Trump, this guy Renaud was his name in those days, right? In that day and time, Renaud's job was to go and create war for the 1% so they can move in and take land. They give these, meaning they chose him because he was a master at creating wars, right? And we can get into Venezuela, and then we'll get back to uh, the Shriners, Egypt, the Jedi. which was the Jedi. If you know Star Wars, they had Return of the Jedi, where the Jedi was actually Egyptian priest from the Egyptian priesthood. They call them a sect of mathematicians or magicians, right?
Wow.
So we don't get into that. But this guy right here, right? This guy, he is not him in per se, but the role he plays. All governments have a person like this that knows how to create propaganda to create war, to go in, grab the land, grab the resources, right? All of them have a guy like this, right? Just so happened in our day and time, Trump is this guy. And if you see, kind of look like Trump, they call him Orange Man, whatever, but he plays that role. Okay. So now when Venezuela, everybody knows what took place just in Venezuela, right?
Oh
Where
man.
we went
Yes.
in, got Maduro, captured Maduro, and brought him in. Now, some people saying that uh, the reason for that particular move is because the BRICS nation, right now, Pan African More, you can go over the BRICS nation.
Yeah, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Okay, BRICS nation. They were trading oil. They didn't want to use the American dollar. Right. Same thing with Gaddafi in Libya. He wanted to trade it in gold. But the thing is that it's supposed to be only traded in dollar according to the American standard. So anybody who wants to trade oil without the American dollar, they getting ready. Somebody gonna get ready to pay them a visit.
Mm.
Right. And that's basically what happened in Venezuela because now this is the question. Since we over here, right? This is the question. Is it justified to take countries to sustain the economic powers in America for our benefit?
No.
Or, you know,
No,
I
no.
don't think I don't think they should be able to take over countries. I think each president that comes in always have to clean up the mess up behind the other president. So quote unquote. But the the whole thing with Venezuela is it's really a currency war. That's what it really is because the United States is in debt. The United States owe everybody. Can't pay nobody. Because we import in more than we export. So that means that puts us in a situation where we have to get it on credit. So when the BRICS nations is forming, they're deciding they said the U.S. dollar has too much power. They have their own countries and they can't even spend their own money because the U.S. dollar is worth more than their own dollar. So them coming together to form this BRICS nation so they can have a universal currency that doesn't need the U.S. dollar, and these countries can trade amongst each other. By us taking over Venezuela, we're forcing them to use the U.S. dollar, so they can't put us in a situation where they can trade and push us out.
what you say, Bill? I mean, Rock, Miss Rock.
Well, I listened to a video where Farrakhan spoke, and he said, "Well, it's supposed to be that China has paid Venezuela money so that they can go in and drill for oil, right?
Right,
So that's the problem."
Big
right.
problem. Yeah.
And that's why China said release him now, immediately.
Yeah, that's the problem, a big problem.
Right. But the master, I suppose, of creating war, right, is saying now. Because what he's saying is the weapons we got over here, hey, can't nobody touch it. Right. But Pan African War, what you got, fam?
Is it okay? No, it's not okay. I mean, what it was a coup. And I'm not against all coups. I'm against this coup. I'm not going to claim that I know everything that's going on with this situation. I'm hearing two sides. I'm hearing uh, what I'm probably more interested in than the obvious is the things that's not as obvious. So when me studying crypto and the financial markets, when I started hearing reports that 600,000 Bitcoins could possibly be seized because it was under the control of Venezuela. So there's the financial markets are now talking about how 600,000 Bitcoins went under the control of Venezuela and they could possibly be seized by the U.S. corporation, So seeing as how Bitcoin, the SEC, they passed their ETF applications. We're talking BlackRock and some of the biggest asset management companies. They got the approval of the Security Exchange Commissions of the United States in order to be able to offer Bitcoin to their clientele. That's many, many trillions, now that was brought into the market. That's why Bitcoin shot up to 120,000 last year. It's at about 90,000 right now. Gold and silver right now is at all-time highs. These are considered risk on. Well, let me get this right. The time in the market right now is risky. So those would be assets that you will buy for in order to something that's going to keep its value. Same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin out of the entire crypto market is the only thing you can depend on right now that's going to maintain its value, to some degree or to a large degree, or give you a large return on your investment. Like silver, I remember I was buying ounces of silver at 17. Like, I don't know what the exact price is, but I think it might be 70. I need to, if anybody could check that, or get in the comments, whatever the ounce of silver is going for right now. But I know it's just hit an all-time high. Same thing with gold, but Bitcoin is big business because it's the next wave of the internet. And with everything, you got an internet president of the U.S., you got other, politicians that's on the internet doing public speakings, media. Burkina Faso just instituted their own media company. I was looking at that like a day or two ago. Media's huge. Media, when you don't have control over the media, you can have a situation like Venezuela where they didn't have control over their media. So you have this perceived, you had people, a Latino in particular, arguing with me online about, well, what is the sentiment with the people? Well, if you're looking at it from a Western media perspective and you're looking at it from their channels, then you may have a different perspective than if you're subscribed to the channels that I'm subscribed to, with people all over the world and including people that are in Venezuela that I was watching when all this went down and see what they had to say, being right near in an earshot of the bomb blast when they first went off. And what was the sentiment out there, so it was always very mixed. And when I was listening to the brother who had African Stream, which his channel got taken down, I forgot the particular details, but very revolutionary channel. And, his voice, they tried to silence his voice, but he actually went to Venezuela for about 6 weeks. And he said that the paler the people, the more that they were in alignment, they were against Maduro. He said the darker the people, the more that they were in alignment and they were pro Maduro. So I thought that was interesting, just seeing how Maduro, came down to Harlem in the U.S. and was speaking to, the African American community that's here. So I just thought that was interesting. So, yeah, it's not okay. It's not okay to step on somebody who is, would be considered a sovereign, supposedly. Well, obviously now that what's sovereignty when you could be kidnapped,
Right.
What's sovereignty without allies? If you ain't got no allies, if he ain't got Latin America or he ain't got anybody who he may have helped to come back him up, then what is sovereignty worth? It ain't
Right.
worth nothing if you ain't got no allies.
Fact. Silver, $76.24.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is the separation. This is the great separation, right? And I'm seeing it's taking place in America. Really, it's taking place all over the globe. You see black people, with so-called African Americans. Now some are saying what you Trump, my president, Trump gangster. He went over there and took Venezuela. They got Trump memes, crip walking. You know what I'm saying? Like Trump's just straight gangster. You know what I mean? But that's
seen a few of those.
Yeah, you saw it, man. That's a mentality, right? And then you have another mentality who is looking at this thing not just from a standpoint of he went in and took Venezuela, but looking at a standpoint of, man, what else will he be willing to do, and what's our overall position in this thing?
At the sacrifice of our military.
Helicopter gets shot, right? Military people get shot going in there, but another aspect is where some mentality lies is he said he wants to next do Cuba and Colombia. So basically that means, okay, so you got the Caribbeans. Well, if you look, $145 billion of African American money is spent in Caribbean travels.
Mm.
The other aspect is since Trump a real estate guy, he said, well, I'll run Venezuela. He gonna turn that into a tourist attraction where he and his cronies gonna make some money off of our 145 billion travel dollars we spent in the Caribbean, right? Now, man. So let me ask you this. Let me ask y'all this. Knowing the situation, should we be like, okay, well, look, let me contact my people in the Caribbeans. Let me set up and spend some money on some Airbnbs and buy me some land and get some of that too, instead of letting them getting it all. Well, and another thing too.
I don't know.
There's another one on top of that.
You come take your stuff.
But check this out. Check this out. Check this out. So before the BRICS before BRICS was established, Exxon had the right to all the oil in Venezuela. BRICS got established, Exxon out the picture. Now, Trump just took it back, now American got it. He gonna put Exxon back over it, right? Should people start investing in Exxon?
That might be a way to come up.
Man, the reason why I'm saying all this is, man, look at the world we living in and the games that's being played. Right? We in this.
So, excuse me, don't you believe there will be a cost to pay?
And that's what nobody's looking at. They're not projecting that far. Right? See, they the math. I'm glad you asked that question. Because okay, hold on. Okay. Y'all check this out, right? Check this out. Okay, look. All right, here you go. Share chivalry, right? We can be long. The Knights, Templar, and Muslim Knights, like Saladin forces, found common ground in codes of honor and chivalry, indicating mutual respect and shared principle notes, right? Okay. Order of the Temple of Solomon, right? Not the Templar successor, the Order of Christ, right, in Portugal, actively gathered Jewish and Muslim scholars in the stronghold of Tumar, developing advanced navigation and shipbuilding, demonstrating a pragmatic exchange of knowledge, crucial for explorations, right? Okay, now look. Moors' contributions. The Moors introduced vast knowledge in medicine, hygiene, astronomy, and mathematics to Europe, influencing Spain and other region states, right? Okay. Now, esoteric connections, and this goes all the way back to Egypt. Some traditions suggest Sufi groups like the Hashim shared ancient Egyptian knowledge, the Jedi priesthood with temples as part of spiritual heritage, right, according to the order of the Temple of Solomon. In essence, okay, so basically what it's saying is, hey, we have a right, as Panic Moore stated, okay, you got two, this is everywhere. And everywhere I travel, it's the same thing. The darker people live in one section and they for their people and can trace their lineage back to the motherland, and they have a one mindset. The lighter people have more of a Western mindset because I guess they see their salvation and power coming from the Western way of thinking, right? So this is where we at today. Some people are crossing over, dark-skinned people. As a matter of fact, before I say that, dark-skinned people, stop bowing down and you, the old you got to check your job in order to make some money. That shit is dead. Right?
Yes, sir.
The the punishment for that old great grandmother who wanted her granddaughter, especially in the with the quote unquote Latino communities, so they can be lighter and lighter and thinking they gonna get some kind of privilege. It didn't work.
Nope.
It didn't work, right? So it's about, once again, knowledge base. Okay, so now we get into the start of it all, right? We finna get to the start without bam. Yakub, right? Son, he was born in the 4640 BC in Arabia, right? Patmos, Greek island, right? Known for what? Creating white. His field of study was trigonometry. So what I'm saying is, on that island of Patmos, when he taught them trigonometry, that became the mindset of the Western Europeans, right? Trigonometry, right? So you have, and some black people bought into that mindset as well. So one mindset is going to be based on mathematics, science, and truth. And then one mindset is going to be based on trigonometry, right? Hold on. Let me get on that. Right?
So that's
So
actually
his early life, the Nation of Islam believes that Yakub was born at a time when 70% of people were satisfied and 30% were dissatisfied. He began school when he was 4 and had graduated from every university in his nation by the age of 18. After preaching in Mecca, the authorities exiled him and 59,999 of his followers to the island of Patmos in what is now Greece. Right. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So let's get back to him. Hold on. Okay. So what happened was, let's say you, all of us was in a tribe, right? Let's say he goes and say, okay, look, here's Pebbles, here's Dave, right? We're gonna separate them two, let them have children. Any of them come out dark, we gonna kill the dark. That's where the caste system in India and all that first started, right? Yeah, we know Krishna was black. come on, man. That's where it's funny, right? So as it took him 600 years. He died at the age of what? 152. Hold on, please. Look. So look, yeah, okay, gonna say. Anyway, okay, let me read this real quick. It said Yakub discovered that humans contain a dominant black gene and a recessive brown gene, because it says gene in T. A third of the people born on Patmos showed traces of brown, and Yakub only allowed these people to breed. He only allowed brown children to survive and killed the others. He died on the island at the age of 152, and his followers continued his experiments for hundreds of years. Yakub's followers successfully created whites 800 years after they first went to Patmos. The whites lived in trees and walked on all fours. After 600 more years, they returned to the mainland and caused wars between the black people by line, leading the black people to exile the whites to caves in Europe, Caucasus Mountains. They continued living in the caves for 2,000 years before they came out and they took over the world. Now, Pan-African War, can you break down the doctrine of discovery?
The doctrine of discovery was a mandate from Spain, from Queen Elizabeth, and I want to say King Ferdinand. I want to say they were married by that time and joined their two factions together. And it was a mandate that when Christopher Columbus went out there and his allies, that whenever they were to travel abroad, and in this particular case it would be the Americas, that if they discovered non-Christians there, that they could claim discovery on the land, take over the land, get rid of the people, and they would have the backup of the Spanish army. And he did exactly just that. And there was actually a case that came out, Google Johnson versus McIntosh, where, from my recollection, there was an indigenous tribe who sold their land to some Europeans. Then the United States came and said that those Europeans didn't have ultimate right to the land. Those Europeans lost that land, and they lost that case because the U.S. claimed discovery. They actually utilized the Christian doctrine of discovery from Spain in order to claim that land. So the U.S. was not claiming ownership over the land by the sword or by taking it over militarily. They were claiming it by discovery. So that's what that was about. So if it was any non-Christian on the land, then Spain, the army of Spain, was going to back you up when it came to traveling abroad.
Using a system of tricks and lies. Meaning, if I got a deed now, you give me I don't even know how to write English, right? If we're talking about the natives that was here. You hand me some ink and a paper and say sign right here, and they told them if you sign right here, you will be able to keep the land because they had you wasn't going to defeat them, put it like that, because of the weaponry that they had. So when they signed their X on the land, they still put on a reservation, moved them out. I don't think they kept a treaty that they signed with the natives that were here. But this system of killing the darker, saving the lighter, that's in the genetic coding. That's been passed down for generations. That's why, and even from families to or they'll say the black sheep of the family, or they'll say, because the family and sometimes you can't blame me though, through self-preservation was saying, look, in order to survive, you're gonna have to cut this off and be this way. You're gonna have to they won't let in their mind, they thought, well, these people won't harm you as much if you like. But they didn't understand the nature in which they were created in. They gonna harm you anyway. Didn't matter, right? So I guess the question I'm asking is, so since today is 2026, how do we overcome this system of colorism that was started 6,000 years ago. That's another thing that hurts the community. And we can go with no particular order, but anybody want to dive in and give what they think a solution could be to end it and the importance of ending it. What you got, Dave?
Well, I go in. I mean, colorism. I mean, as whoever has the majority of power, what the resources is the face that everybody gonna follow in every aspect. When the Europeans took over, everybody started taking on their model of government. You know, we didn't have continents and all that before they became the face. You know, their religion became the face, their deities became the face, and everybody fell up under that. So you got a caste system from, you know, light to dark, because it's the lightest of the light that is running things to this day. The bullying that they doing right now is showcasing that until somebody else prove otherwise. So, you know, if our people, if they want to end colorism, get in power, become the face. And then you can go right back to the pitch black, you know, figures that we had and statues. You got pitch black figures in Kemet in Egypt. You got pitch black faces on the Moors. You go back to that, and then that becomes a standard. And that's it. And that's all.
Right. Yeah. It's in Russia. It's in Asia. Body down with the first Buddha.
That's a real good solution, man. I think that he hit it right on the money. It's what people are willing to adopt. You know, if you grow up in a system, that's all you know. You know, but if you don't know that there's more out there, you know, you're only going to accept what you've been taught. And a lot of traditions passed down. We've all experienced it on some type of level, whether it's, you know, being a part of this, you know, being in the United States, Western civilization, just being a part of it. We know we have to prepare ourselves to deal with it, going into the society, trying to survive. One of the things, the solutions is that I think about, you know, when someone says the others are going to judge you, you have to be a certain way. Now in 2026, I mean, within our own race, you have colorism. The fact of it is, you got some that won't allow you to succeed them because they feel the same way. You know, growing up in that system, well, you lighter, you think you better, or you darker, you think you better, or whatever. You know, within our own dynamics. So I think doing away with a lot of traditions and broadening horizons and becoming the face of showing that it's multicultural, I think it giving everybody a fair shot at it, I think that helps. Because when the kids grow up, they're going to continue the cycle of repeating everything they've been taught. So we have to do a better job on that end.
Right. What you got, Rod?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you what I do. When I see a sister, a beautiful sister with dark skin, guess what I do? I tell them, I compliment them. That's my way. I build them up. Mm-hmm. Whether my complexion, light or darker, I just compliment them. You know, I give them. That's my way of doing things.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
The men too. I just compliment and I'll mention the complexion verbatim. I say it and I say it out loud.
That's powerful when you said uplifted. And we, as no matter the shade, we need to be uplifted because we've been downtrodden. And as I stated, we've become the picture of pain.
Yes.
You know, pain, everything with pain don't have to be associated with Black people or with Moors or with us, you know, the collective united group once we become united. But still, you know, that's power. That, and the reason I ask, because that's one of the first keys in unification, right? Because see, when you can kill those negative type mindsets, now we can sit down at the table and look at each other as equals. And now we dealing based on what's on the table. Not saying, well, this person must be telling the truth because this person lighter, or this person must be telling the truth because this person darker, or I'm gonna go sit over here with them because they go. We got to erase all of that because if you look at the Yakub story, his whole purpose for even creating the white race was because he wanted to show our rebelliousness in the flesh. And were supposed to study them, but they wasn't supposed to rule over us though. We lost it. But I kind of got it. Now I get it though by watching that movie, The Kingdom of Heaven, because you had white Jews, white Christians, and pale Arabs. The white Jews and the white Christians, they came together to fight against the pale Arabs. The pale Arabs was operating off the Sufism and the knowledge that the Moors gave them. So that's why the pale Arabs was to the white Christians and Jews, hey, we can all share this Jerusalem and everybody respect each other's faith. But under Yakub's system of lie and technology, greed comes in and it becomes, I don't want to share nothing with you. I want the whole thing for myself. And how can I call myself supreme if I got to have something I got to be supreme over?
Right.
To show my strength, right? We're saying, dude, you not the creator. You will create it. So stay in your lane, right? So they saying, well, wait a minute. I'm not staying in my lane. Matter of fact, I know y'all gave me 6,000 years to rule, right? If my rule is ending, then I'm finna tank this economy. I'm finna, you know what I mean? Do what I can. Because I'm not finna leave y'all with nothing. Why would he, though, if that's his nature and he's just acting out of who he is? He might don't see what he's doing is wrong, right? So it's like Pan African Morris stated, put something higher than what he has, and you because the game is wide open for us too. We just subconsciously feel like we have to be under or second class or less than because in all of his studies and teachings, he presented that way, but that don't make it true. Hell, you got some people so crazy in certain neighborhoods, they put a black sign up in their yard, and at nighttime somebody came and cut it up. You know what I'm saying? Cut it up. Like, dude, come on. Look how they got Black Pete in New Zealand and in Scotland and whatnot. It's like, look how they got Sambo when they said before anything was Sambo was. He was a god in ancient Asia. He on the walls. They had a cartoon about him. But I'm saying propaganda. He was the master at creating negative propaganda and putting it on his media, putting it out in the public, and everybody digested, and that became the truth.
You know what, bro? You know what amazed me when you said, and you put the graphic up, and it said he's studied. The field of study was trigonometry. That is an actual field of study. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We might need to re-examine what does it take to study trigonometry, because apparently whatever's being taught in that is working, man. I mean, this is some solid stuff in it.
What, bro?
That's a manipulative spirit.
Yes,
to even to desire that, to even want to study that, and to actually master it.
Right, that is some serious stuff. I'm like, wait a minute.
Hey, let let me throw a book out there since we're talking about technology. Uh, Rise of Power to Brother Panic. There's a book by Dantalian Jones, which I think that's just the pen name for the guy who wrote the Art of Seduction and the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. There's a book called Mind Control 101, How to Control the Minds of Others Without Them Knowing or Caring. And in that book, which, it's been a while since I read it, I remember maybe I skimmed through it or whatever. They have a part in there where they talk about voice inflection. So we probably talked about this on Verbal Pig Radio, Black, where preachers, they use a technique where while they're preaching, they'll build up suspense and then they'll hit it with that high note. They hit it with that yell that, hey, and they'll speak in a monotone and then they'll hit a high note and hey, and then bring it back down and they'll sing, and there's an art to it. And they talk about it in the book, how to Mind Control 101, how to control the minds of others without them knowing or caring, by Dantalian Jones. So it's good to study these things because on the chessboard you need to know both sides. You need to understand your side and how you're gonna move, and you need to be able to see the moves that they're gonna make 100 steps ahead of time. And since we're talking about the U.S., if anybody thinks that what they're saying is their only chess moves, then they don't understand chess. They're thinking a century at least, if not way beyond that, ahead of what we're talking about, what the general public is talking about right now, which is obvious. Which is all the obvious things, the oil and all the natural resources and all that. It's deeper than that. That's how they've been able to stay ahead of the game.
That's right.
But our mindset is we just trying to get us to think 5 years ahead, and that's motion. If you could plan, if you can train yourself to plan for 5 years down the road, you moving. You doing something, because
got to be mental though. It has to be mental because they keep changing up. If you try to stay within that system and your 5-year plan, some things are going to change up. So I think it has to be a mental part of that 5 years, or where you're going to be mentally 5 years from now, preserving that in order to stay in motion on anything you're trying to do.
Well, I agree, and I meant as far as economically,
okay,
your home, how you're gonna ration your food out, your groceries,
right,
the education of your children. Are you planning to send them to college? Then don't wait till they get in the 12th grade. Start that when they in the 5th grade. Things of that nature. And and the only reason is because you don't want to be reactive. You want to be proactive, and that's how you stay ahead of the game. But yeah, but mentally they will change the game on us.
Right, and stay away from the distractions, the latest trends, all of that. It's almost like you have to be on a straight and narrow because we keep getting hit in every direction with this, that, whatever, and it's very intentional.
Right, but we get to a point, Abraham theory again. We get to a point to where we tried everything he put out. He put the clothes out, he put the style out, and we get to the point to say we tried that, and it just, I don't know, man, it's just not working. People are like, let me see what I can create out of my own mind for myself now. Right. Now, but this is the thing though. It's the thing. It happens in everything. Rap, music, this the problem. We will say us four, right? We could be in a think tank room. We come up with a creation. We advertise, we market it. It started to take off, right? People are investing in it, right? Now we bringing other people in. It's getting bigger, right? Somebody gonna bring one of Yakub's technology creations into the mix, right? And from that one, things just started.
Downhill.
Start going here, right? What it say? They say right here. Yakub followers successfully created whites 800 years after they first went to Patmos. The whites lived in trees and walked around for after 600 more years. They returned to the mainland and caused war between the black people by lying, leading the black people to exile. Right? But they wasn't lying. What they would do was they would go to you and say, "Hey, I said that your produce wasn't no good." And they come to me and I said that you lied to me about your expertise in the law, right? Because we wasn't used to lying. So when we saw each other in the streets, we throwing down. It's on. We fighting, and the whole town was just at odds. And so they went to the king, and they was like, "Well, what's going on?" They said, "Well, the Yakub creation. They didn't start till they got here." So they rounded up all they could find. And they couldn't find some of them, and that's how you got the pair of Arabs over up in there. They couldn't find all of them, but we came and told them and marched them across the burning sand into the Caucasus Mountains, and we bound them in up into Europe, right? But when our brothers though go down there and saw that they had communication skills, and when they was walking on all fours, and they put that harness on their back, stood them straight up at a 90-degree angle, living perpendicular, and retaught them some of the technology because we had made word is bond. We gave them said that okay, we'll give y'all 6,000 years to rule, and they rule was up in 1914. We gave them another 100 years of grace and mercy to get it right and do right. They still didn't. So now they know that they gotta hand it over. But a person that was created out of technology, what you think they're gonna do? So they saying, okay, it's just like in the Bible, right? When God told the children of Israel to go down there and take the land, and they told God, well, look, it's giants in the land. Why don't you and Moses go take the land and we'll follow right behind you? But if God telling you, hey man, you know, everything is prepared for you, but out of fear,
Fear.
meaning we are afraid to let our voice be heard. We're afraid to say, hey, nah, that's not right. That's not how God intended it to be. We go along to get along because I guess it's tradition. We've been taught that way. And I'm just saying that since it's the year 2026, that old mindset has no use. There's no place for it. As a matter of fact, you'll be a victim of it. You will implode yourself with that type of mentality going on in the future. And like somebody stated earlier, you don't want to pass that mindset on to the next generation that's coming behind you because they're not going to be able to operate with a slave mentality in 2030. It serves no purpose. It might have served the purpose 10 to 15 years back, but it has no purpose in today's time because you got AI, you got the internet, you got crypto, you know what I mean? You got so many things at your disposal. You don't need a slave mine. You don't need no more ditches dug, or you don't need no more I'm tired and we shall overcome, and you don't need no more pain because you got all the tools at your disposal to make you happy, for you to enjoy your life. You know, for you to achieve. Man, these folks is creating whole universes out of AI and building.
Right.
And like Pepper was telling me the other, I mean, I'm sorry, Pepper. Sister Rock was telling me the other day.
It's fine. Either way, it's the same.
I want to confuse the people, but you were telling me they got AI classes and you sent me some links. Get in, this is the way, get in, learn, build. What, why not? I mean, what? I'm not incapable of learning. and building and creating wealth on top of wealth. And I'm saying it is. This is the time. This is why we done this show, because we can't go back now.
No.
We went all the way back to the Jedi, showing where Star Wars got it from our people. We went all the way back to Yakub and the creation. We went and showed the Knights Templars and go back and look at Kylie's speech on YouTube about the widow's son. And we through, right? Because next, hold on, next, let me see if they're gonna let me do it, right? If they let me do it, we gonna get on. Cause I wanted to give, it's not gonna let me do it, but don't worry about it. I wanted to give maybe, and brother Patrick Moore, you might can help me with this, right? I wanted to put on the screen the definition and who I was involved in the AES, but for some reason they would not let me put that on here, right? But I take that it's something that I'm doing wrong. But can you explain the AES, because we're going to be moving forward towards that and tying in religious beliefs, whether it's Islam, Judaism, Christianity, whatever, into why we need to build moving on into the future. And the brother said something great the other day. He said that, look, I'd rather go and deal with groups of people on their expertise versus debating with them. What's your expertise that I can utilize in my path forward? So what does AES stands for, and some of the in the Sahel nations that are within it?
Yeah, it's the Alliance of the Sahel states. So that's Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And from so far, what I'm seeing, once a year, they'll vote in, or they elect in a new leader of the AES out of those 3 countries. And this year, it was passed down to President Captain Ibrahim Traore. And yeah, I mean, and they doing it. They are Assimi Goita and Chiani are the other 2 brothers that is over Mali and Niger, respectively. Yeah, that's the AES. They are united. They're pushing for a United States of Africa. They're pushing for a passport that can be used across all of Africa. They're pushing for unity. They are very vocal about being Pan-Africans. They kicked out France. They're taking over their own resources and they're cultivating it within their own countries. They're united. They have no borderlines. Their militaries assist each other. Captain Ibrahim, there was just an assassination attempt on his life. Another one. He's in the 20s, 20 plus assassination attempts on him about a couple of days ago, and it was another failed coup. They was actually trying to take him and everybody around him. They were trying to unalive all of them, But their unity is the reason why they're so strong. And they are the most popular countries in Africa as far as Africa is concerned. And they are the example that, like, you go throughout Africa, I've seen so many different citizens in so many different countries say that Captain Traore is their president. They just totally disregard whatever president is over their country. They just say that he is the president. So he's pretty much like considered the president of Africa, in a sense. And I think he's 37 now, young president. And he has the unity of Mali, Niger, and the wisdom of Chiani and Goita on his side, and the unity of those countries and their military on the side. They're very pro woman, pro unity, pro family, countries, and they doing it.
Well, we'll keep the people updated because it is growing and it's gonna even get bigger, in the future. But I do want to say, Verbal Pick Radio, we have investigative journalists. We are part of the IAPP, registered journalists. So we put the information out, and people can decide for themselves, you know. But the topics that we discuss are popular topics that we put out under our right of freedom of speech. Next time, family, y'all stay up and we out.
Okay,
Appreciate you.
yeah.